Hello, this is Thaddeus Kaczynski with Holy Apostles course on Reason and Theology of St. Thomas. We are up now to lesson 9, week 9, which covers the things of revelation that could be known also by reason. And the readings for this week are the Summa Theologia, Book 1, Volume 1, Question 2, Articles 1 through 3, the Compendium of Theology, chapters 4 through 15, 28 through 35. Now, we will not be able to go over every single article and chapter, but I want to give just some thoughts about the main theme here and some of the basic arguments that St. Thomas gives for the existence of God, as well as some of the attributes that we can know about God through reason. Again, this is basically what we're talking about here is natural theology, the capacity of the human mind to attain to knowledge of God's existence, as well as something about Him that's accurate, some attributes of Him, without the explicit use of divine revelation, objectively speaking, and without the subjective use or gift of faith and the infused virtues. So that's what we're talking about here. Natural theology is something that's controversial today, especially since the philosopher Kant, who rejected it tout court completely as the object of anything that transcends the senses. Metaphysical speculation is empty of content. It's only really taking a look into our own mind's categories of substance and cause, for instance. But when we apply those categories to that which transcends the senses, that which is immaterial, we can have no knowledge of it. The knowledge of God, strictly speaking, occurs through our practical reason. Again, not actual content, conceptual knowledge, but it's presupposed using our practical reason because God must exist because of what we understand to be the nature of the moral law and the sense of duty that we have. We need to have freedom from morality. We need to have a reward of happiness for morality, for instance. And therefore, for there to be perfect freedom and a reward, there has to be a God. So that's Kant's sort of natural theology. St. Thomas is much more content associated. It's much more robust. There's certainly a possibility of knowing that God exists for sure through reason. It's not just a presupposition. And we could also know with certainty certain things about God. And it's kind of interesting to think about that as you hold in tension St. Thomas's frequent claim that we do not know the essence of God. We only know what God is not. Okay, we cannot have, and this has been covered in other weeks, we cannot have even a connatural conceptual understanding of angels, for instance, because the natural object of the human intellect is the material substance. So we can't even know what angels are directly, sort of by experiencing their reality in our minds. We can only infer their existence and know what kind of beings they are. For instance, they are beings with form but no matter, but they also are in potency to existence. They have a combination of esse and form, substantial form and esse. And because they don't have bodies the way we do, material bodies, they're not limited in space and time the way we are. So we can know certain things about angels. St. Thomas has a whole treatise on the angels. All the while, we don't have the actual concept of the angel in our minds. We're speaking in a sense analogously or negatively. And St. Thomas a fortiori says that our knowledge of God is also, in a sense, empty. Next week, we're going to talk about the way we can predicate names of God and the way St. Thomas understands our way of understanding spiritual realities as analogous to the way we understand other things. So keep that in mind as we go through these arguments for God's existence. Consider what is it that we're actually knowing through these proofs. Do we have to already know God, in a sense, in order to really make sense and get something out of these proofs? Or does the proof itself, enable us to have some contact with God, or at least to enable us to, with certainty, know that there must be something like a first mover, a first being, a first efficient cause, a first hypostasis of goodness or truth, the highest level of these transcendentals. There must be a necessary being, and there must be some being that orders motion to an end. I just went through the 5 ways. What exactly that being is, we don't know, but we know that it's not one of the beings in the world. We have to deny of this being the things we would attribute to even the strongest, the most necessary, the most causal, the highest, in the world, that being would not be God. This is not a great, super, we don't take up predicates we get from reality and just sort of infinitize them and then come up with God. God is a wholly other being. Okay? This being is an uncreated being. This being is the cause of all being, and therefore it must, in some sense, must be beyond being. Plato said that as well. Something that is the cause of everything must transcend what it causes, in some sense. It must have what it causes, but have it in an entirely different way, because if not, it would be one of the objects it causes. So this God is wholly other. We only know its intimate essence, and we only know that in a limited way through the gift of faith, which begins in this life and is increased, and we will see God as he is in heaven, but even then we'll have to be elevated in our minds and be given the capacity to have that knowledge of God directly, not through a concept. And even then, of course, we will never fully understand or grasp, because that is impossible for finite beings. So, we will go to St. Thomas's Summa, question 2, Article 1, in our next commentary.